Welcome to the Ambitious Coach Podcast. This is a place where driven, determined coaches learn how to get off the business growth struggle bus and learn how to build a wildly profitable online coaching business. I'm your host, Allison Henderson, corporate dropout to six-figure social media business coach. I'm going to show you how I've been able to create the business of my dreams organically, all through utilizing my social media platforms. So pull up a seat, take some notes, and get ready to see your life and bank account transform. Hello, and welcome back to the Ambitious Coach Podcast. It's me, Allison. So today we're diving into a very important topic that every single business owner faces. It's how to handle I can't afford it. So this is one of the biggest objections that you're going to get on a sales call and in a DM or email conversation. Now, just because someone says they can't afford it, it doesn't mean that they wouldn't become a client for you in the future. They might not be able to afford maybe your high ticket one-on-one offer, but they might be somebody that's a great fit for a course that you have, maybe a smaller ticket one-on-one package, or they could maybe buy a masterclass or something like that for you from you in the future. Okay. But this is the thing. I always want you answering this in the most compassionate way that you can, because we want to leave that door open. So for me, on sales calls or in DM conversations, it's just always so wise to be prepared on how to answer this. And I do know you're going to answer this with kindness, compassion, but we always just have to consider our tone when we say these sort of things, okay? It's easy to take it really personally when someone does say, I can't afford it. So sometimes our energy changes on a sales call. And even if you're like voice texting or voice messaging back with somebody, I know how hard it can be for like your voice not to change, right? So it's really easy for us to get discouraged or really take that personally. And I just want you to know that like we can sometimes feel that energy on a sales call. But often, sometimes when they say I can't afford it, it actually means something else. So I do want to make sure that you are aware that it's not always a money objection. It's actually something else. So it could be like, I'm just not ready yet. I'm not sure if I'm ready to buy this. It might be just not a big priority for them in their life right now. It might be, I'm just not completely clear on what I'm getting. So they might not be clear on the transformation and also the features of your program, which would be like the number of calls or the courses and all the other things that are going on. So they just might not be clear on that. And that's on us, I hate to say that, as a coach, okay? They might be nervous that it might be too difficult for them. So the process that you are talking about, the methodology, they might be like, oh, this kind of sounds hard. This might be really difficult for me. And in their brain, they have to go, okay, I'm ready to do this. Also, they might say like, I'm not sure I trust the process or myself to actually follow through. And this is kind of similar to the one before. I was like, I'm really nervous. This is going to be too difficult. And we have to, in their mind, we have to express in the best way possible what the expectations are for them, but also what to expect in that time frame that you guys are working together, right? So if it is obviously going to be maybe a little difficult, or if they're learning new skills, just tell them that. Tell them, hey, this is what to expect in our 2 weeks of us working together, or in our 2 months of us working together, or 4 months of us working together, okay? Another reason they might not necessarily be moving forward and using the I can't afford it objection is their spouse, their husband. So they might not necessarily be on board. And so it is up to us to ask more questions on a sales call or in a DM conversation about, hey, does he actually understand what you're going through? Are they aware of, especially if you're like a sleep consultant or a parent coach, like, are they aware of what you are going through with your child every single day or every single night? So as a coach or business owner, be prepared to respond thoroughly and with compassion. So whether it's on a sales call or a DM conversation, I just want you so prepared. Today, I'm going to give you 5 ways to handle these responses with compassion and with utter confidence. The last thing that we want is you coming off as salesy or pushy in any way, all right? And I know that you're not going to do that, all right? So it is just important that you have this script ready to go so your energy doesn't change and you are so prepared that this just literally flies off your tongue when they say, I just don't know if I can afford it. All right, so the first one, so write this down, get your notebook ready, guys, okay? The first one is, I understand money is tight. I know we talked about how challenging this has been for you. So here, mention something really specific. Like, what is that big struggle that they have been having inside of their life or inside of their business or whatever that is, okay? So I know we talked about how challenging this has been for you. I hate to see you continue feeling that way. Is there anything I can do on my end to help? So by acknowledging their challenge and showing empathy, we're not pushing them. We're inviting them to see that we're here to help. And sometimes it's a gentle approach, a gentle nudge. And yeah, that can make a really big difference in building trust with this person. So I'm going to repeat that one. I understand money is tight. I know we talked about how challenging blank has been for you. And I'd hate to see you continue feeling that way. Is there anything I can do on my end to help? All right, number two, the second one. I understand this is a rather large investment. I'm happy to figure out something that works for the both of us. Would you mind sharing the dollar amount you were hoping I'd say? So I'm going to say that again. I understand this is a rather large investment. I'm happy to figure out something that works for the both of us. Would you mind sharing the dollar amount you were hoping I'd say? So this option is about opening up a dialogue around the budget rather than just shutting things down completely. Okay. When we ask them to share the budget, it helps us both understand if there is a way to kind of meet in the middle. Negotiating and lowering your price is 100% your decision, though. Okay. This has to really feel good for you. Like your whole mind, body, spirit has to be behind this. The last thing that we want is to give them this huge discount or, a percentage off or whatever. Like you don't want to give away something for crazy cheap. And then you're left feeling like, wow, they kind of took advantage of me. And I'm like super burnt out. Like this client ended up being a nightmare because they wanted everything for free. And we want to be paid for what we're worth and for our time and for our education, right? So you do not have to lower your prices unless you feel really good about this. Okay. This is really all going to be based on the other person on the other end too. Okay. I always know sometimes I'm like, this is such an ideal client. I really want to work with her. So I'm happy to give her a slight discount to really make this work. Okay. All right. So the third response, you mentioned how much of a struggle this has been for you. I know from personal experience how hard this can be. Is there an I'm all in price for you? So once again, I'm going to say this. You mentioned how much of a struggle this has been for you. I know from personal experience how hard it can be. Is there an I'm all in price for you? So this response, you are showing empathy while also bringing the conversation back to that pain point and their commitment level. It can be a way to see how serious they are about resolving this problem inside their life right now, even with having some sort of financial limitations. Okay. So even if they really can't afford it. And by the way, I'm going through all these. Sometimes somebody just like they just can't afford it. And that's okay. I'm going to share with you a response when that is like when you kind of just feel that way. But I just know before somebody got on that call, they might have had a price in mind. All right. I'm always very transparent about my pricing on my sales pages and my stories, just in my content overall, because I want them when they get on a sales call, knowing the price it is to work with me. Okay. I don't want that to be one of those moments where they're like, wait, how much does it cost to work with you? Like, I don't want anybody having sticker shock or asking a ton of questions around the pricing. I want them getting on the call, just knowing the dollar amount. Right. So that could be something you add to your application process, just making sure that those are all on your sales pages and that you are talking about this in your content on social media. Okay. So I really love this one. And once again, you don't need to lower your price if that price does not feel good for you. Okay. All right. Number four. If money wasn't an issue, is this exactly what you're looking for? So if money wasn't an issue, is this exactly what you're looking for? All right. So sometimes if the money part was removed, the truth can come out. Okay. Maybe they have other hesitations that don't involve finances at all. So by addressing these concerns, you can see if they're truly aligned with your offer or if something else is holding them back. Remember, if you are on a sales call, it's important that you understand all the hesitations and concerns. Like they're on this call with you right now. So it's important that you ask powerful questions. I know it can get so uncomfortable when money comes up, especially if they feel like money is the only thing stopping them. So when they ask this, you can see if you can offer a payment plan or some other alternatives to make this work for them. Okay. This one to me is, feel into their energy, really make sure that you are on this call with them, see what's going on. It's okay to coach them on this call and be like, hey, is it cool if I coach you right now? Like, tell me what's up. Like, tell me what's really going on. Is money the issue? Cool. Like, we can work out a payment plan. But is it something else? Right? So don't be afraid to keep them on the call a little bit longer and ask some, I guess I would say better, more questions. Okay. All right. Number 5. And this is the easiest response and really the most powerful one. No problem. I'll be here for you when you're ready. I'm not going anywhere. All right. So if you say followed up with somebody in the DMs and they're like, yeah, talked it over with my spouse. I just don't think we can swing it. I'm like, no problem. All right. I'll be here for you when you're ready. I'm not going anywhere. It's sometimes so simple. And with a response like this, it shows understanding and reassurance without any pressure. Oftentimes people come back when they are ready. especially if they feel so seen and heard from you and really respected, right? And so we don't necessarily need, if you feel, this is really all going to depend on how the sales call went or how your guys' conversation was going. This is sometimes just the best response. All right. So you don't necessarily have to dig deeper unless you really do want to negotiate or you just know that this person was like so ready to move forward. It's like, what happened? Anyway, money is always going to come up. The I can't afford it objection is just going to happen. We cannot avoid it. But be prepared. All right. And something important to keep in mind is people have to trust both you and themselves before they commit. If they're hesitant, it might be because they're doubting their own ability, right? Their own skill to take action and actually see the results. It's okay that they say this. It's not personal. I think sometimes we take a lot of this like personally. It's like, they don't want to work with me. And maybe that is the case. Sometimes that does happen where they like get on that call and they're like, oh, we just didn't vibe. And that's okay too. All right. Just because someone says they can't afford it doesn't mean your program isn't good, that you aren't good, that it's not valuable, or that your actual pricing is too high. If you get on 10 sales calls and everybody says, oh, I can't afford it, okay, then maybe we can look at the pricing structure a little bit and your pricing model. But a lot of times it's just that person wasn't a great fit, right? And what I know to be true too is people will always find a way to work with you if they truly want to work with you. And if you can together find a way to make it work and feasible and affordable and whatever, it can be as easy as a payment plan or some sort of option. All right. So figure it out. I guess figure it out. But don't let that objection of I can't afford it stop you completely from making the sale. All right. So let's wrap things up. I hope that these responses gave you the confidence to handle the I can't afford it objection with confidence and compassion. Remember, people can always turn into clients in the future. People always remember how you made them feel. All right. Which is why these responses to me are so important and to really be prepared. All right. And there's no reason for you to stop communication completely or block them or anything like that. If they aren't ready to move forward today, it's totally okay. All right. So if you found this episode helpful and you really enjoyed it, please leave a review, share it with a friend, share it to your stories on Instagram and tag me. And I'd love to know what you thought of this episode. All right. Until next time, keep selling and stay ambitious. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Ambitious Coach podcast today. A couple favors before you go. If you found this episode helpful, please take a screenshot and share it on Instagram. Most importantly, don't forget to tag me at AllisonHenderson_coach. That's ALLISON Henderson_coach. And lastly, please take a minute to rate this episode and leave a raving review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you tune in to listen. Okay, ambition is great, but it's time to get to work. Take action and commit to being 1% better every day. Once again, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you again next week.